So, what is the good life, and why is it so simple, but so few people actually live the good life? We explore this and more in today's episode of The Grant Sparks Show on what the good life is, where it comes from, how long it's been around, but more importantly, why so few people seem to experience the good life. Then I offer my framework at the end that helps remind me how to go back from avoiding the good life to living the good life again. Enjoy this episode of The Grant Sparks Show. The Greeks themselves viewed that the good life was eudaimonia, and eudaimonia was not about pleasure or wealth. Eudaimonia was about living in alignment with virtue and purpose. And Aristotle said it's achieved through flourishing, and flourishing was, as he explained, when you're able to use reason. Think about the contrast to today, how many people can't use reason. He believed that you were flourishing if you could use reason, even if you came to a different conclusion. If you could use reason, you were flourishing. They also said that developing arete or excellence, if you could develop arete or excellence, you were said to be flourishing. And it was from that flourishing state that you could actually enjoy a life, a good life, that wasn't just dedicated to the excesses of like extreme wealth or extreme, pleasure, but virtue, moderation. They basically had this belief that they believed in wealth, they believed in pleasure, but they didn't believe in too much or too little of a thing. They believed in the middle road. And in the middle road, they believed that you should be able, kind of like Buddhism, to be in the middle of the now. So they did believe in feast days. They did believe in fasting, both. But they didn't believe you should fast to the point where you were ascetic or anemic. And they didn't believe that you should be celebrating or feasting to the point where you were rotund and sick all the time and there was a whole thing about eating to the point of getting sick in the Roman Empire. And they stood against that. They believed that the good life was being able to enjoy all of these things, but with a moderation, and that was said to be done with flourishing. And finally, the final aspect of flourishing is, can you reason? Can you have reasoning? And again, their origin myth was from Prometheus, and Prometheus was big on, the myth was big on that to become humans, to stop being cave dwellers and to become humans, we had to basically have reason and optimism. That's what the fire and optimism is basically what Prometheus stole from the gods and gave to the Greeks, of fire and optimism. And from these two things created reason, as the Greeks believed. And if you could operate that way and then develop excellence and arete, they finally had one final component of human flourishing, which they believe led to the good life, and that was contributing to the well-being of others. So whether you worked as an elected official, whether you worked in your neighborhood making meals for other people, whether you contributed even bartering and transactionally by creating excellence in your produce that you brought to the market. This was a good life, a eudaimonia in the Greek view. They had a strong philosophy of the good life. Now, if you come modern, it's evolved a little bit. What is the good life today? And today, the good life can be said, and I think a lot of you can relate to this, freedom and fulfillment. We want to feel fulfilled. We want to feel free. Freedom to do what you love, fulfillment in relationships and health and purpose and your work, stability, just to have a good night's sleep, curiosity, that you wake up excited, interest. It's less about having everything and more about feeling whole. Now, I think a lot of us can relate that in today's day and age, that could be a definition of the good life, feeling whole. But I think our wants and desires are more broad than that. But if I could give a pure definition of the good life in the most modern sense, it's that it feels like freedom and feels like fulfillment. Freedom to do what you love, fulfillment in relationships, health, and purpose, enough stability to have a good night's sleep, and enough curiosity to wake up excited. It's less about having everything and more about feeling everything. Have you ever had your dreams come true? And in the middle of having your dreams come true, you realized you didn't feel fulfilled. Or maybe you were excited at that big goal that was accomplished, and then 10 minutes later, you felt empty again. I tell the story that in semester at sea, when I traveled to Cape Town, South Africa, I hiked Table Mountain. And I was so determined. I started with a group, and it was like a 4 or 5 hour hike, but it was going very slow. And I wanted to challenge myself from a fitness perspective. So I took off. And I finished this thing in record time, and I was standing at the top, and I could see their little heads way down the way. I could see them way down the way taking their time. They looked like they were miserable, and I was at the top. I had one, and I sat there alone and alone. And I had achieved this goal, and it's been on my bucket list for a long time. But 10 minutes in, I looked down at their little heads, and I realized they weren't miserable. They were laughing. I could start to hear their voices. They were having a good time with one another. They were present. And there's a lesson in that for me, that it's not always about producing the outcome. It's about being present. They were just being present and having a good time with one another in Cape Town, South Africa. And yes, I had accomplished a goal, but I was empty again, and I needed the next goal. It's good to chase big goals. I'm Mr. Goal Getter. Let's go. Boom. I'm Mr. Goal Getter. Let's go. You need big goals, but don't be fooled that big goals are your purpose. Presentness, fulfillment, wholeness is your purpose. And at a personal level, this is the good life, to be able to live in freedom and fulfillment. And I pose this question to you, and we'll get to this in a quick second. If it's that simple, why don't we do it? Let's get back to that in a second. If it's that simple, why don't we do it? Let's talk about that in just a moment. Now, pragmatically, if we zoom out, the good life looks like this. If you zoom out far enough, the good life is purpose. We are teleological beings, just like that homing pigeon that you take out of New York City, bring to Kansas City, throw up in the air, it'll fly in a circle and make its way back to New York City. Just like that homing pigeon, we can't go long without a purpose. And this is often why parents, they pick the easiest purpose they can find. My kids, they're so difficult. It's challenging. I love them. I want to protect them. So we just give them our purpose. And though that's good, and children should be taken care of, raised, grown, if we do not nurture our deeper individual purpose as it pertains to the whole, and obviously taking care of children does, and many people are genuinely fulfilled with that purpose. But there are many, many more people out there that are not fulfilled with that purpose. Many people that don't have children. So if you zoom out, the good life from a very practical perspective is purpose plus progress. I heard a great quote, success is the progressive feeling or realization of a worthy ideal. You got to have the worthy ideal, the purpose, and then you got to make progress, meaningful progress towards that goal to sleep at night. And then the last ingredient, presence. You need to feel present while making progress because you want to feel the progression. So, for example, I could just race up Table Mountain like I did in my example when I was in Cape Town. I could just race up Table Mountain. If I'm just always thinking about the end, I'm not paying attention to the sagebrush that's on the side of the mountain, the view of how the Indian Ocean hits the Atlantic Ocean and it swirls green and blue, the beauty of it, and just allowing myself to worship creation or life, capital L life, and that I am alive and experiencing this thing. I could just achieve it. How many people set a goal? I'm going to run a marathon. And then they say, how was mile 7? I don't know. I just finished it in 3 hours and 15 minutes or whatever the thing is. I want to know that I want to feel the feeling of progress, because once you cross the finish line, you don't feel it anymore. It's fleeting. So having a purpose plus making progress with that purpose plus being present is the good life. If you always wanted that farm and your purpose was to live free on that farm, and you wanted that farm to make progress towards a harvest. But you needed to be present for the planting, the sowing, the weeding, the watering. And only so many months later, the reaping. That could be a good life. But if you're just working and fixing the fence and weeding and it's just a chore, if being alive is such a chore, you're not present. As soon as you complain in any way, and I don't care, Grant, you're being too rigid. No, as soon as you complain in any way, you take the gift of being alive, the good life, and you turn it into a chore. I do this all the time unconsciously, and so do you. All the time. I accidentally slip into complaining. And as soon as when you slip into complaining, think about this. If you are in the example of the farm, if you are working the farm and suddenly it's too quiet, you had a picture in your brain appear, and that was a picture of many people. And you thought the grass is always greener. I need more people around. The quietness of this mountain living or this farm living is too quiet. You suddenly left the presentness and the purity of the weeding of the garden, the tending, the buzz of the bees, the watering of the plants, the fixing of the fence, the fulfillment of a job well done. No, I thought of partying in Ibiza, and I wanted that in the moment instead. And the want and the picture of that drew you away from the present. This is what Buddhists mean by being in the middle of the now. Be where you're at. If you're walking, be walking. If you're eating, be eating. If you're doing a show, do a show. The thing you're doing, do. If you're working, do. But if you're complaining, you're immediately slipping away. You're trying to self-medicate because you're thinking of being somewhere else. And in that thinking of being somewhere else, you now dislike the present. So your imagination and your fantasy are jumping somewhere else. That's not the good life. The good life is not fantasizing. Now, what about manifestation? What about goals? There's a different bucket for that. We'll get to that in a second. You still need to fantasize and manifest and write goals, but you need to understand when to enter the practice of presentness. So the good life, pragmatically in the modern era, is purpose, progress, and presence so that you experience the goodness while it's happening. While it's happening. But like the Greeks, we're addicted to dopamine, and so we either get way too little or way too much. We scroll all night on our phones, or we always try to fulfill pleasure. Always, every opportunity for pleasure, every opportunity for pleasure, every opportunity for pleasure, or absolutely none. You see this in the church and religious sects. Absolutely celibate, absolutely nothing, and asceticism. And the Greeks said, no, let's come to the middle. Know the timing, know the moderation, experience moderation so that you can experience the full spectrum of what this world has to offer, including hard work, including the challenges of work. And there was Zen in that even for the Greeks. And then so you bring that today, purpose, progress, and presence are supremely important. It doesn't mean grasp every opportunity when it's in front of you. It means be highly aware of what it is you're doing and then do it. And by doing it, I mean give every atom, every intentionality, every fleeting thought to the fulfillment of what the Greeks called arete, the fulfillment of excellence in this thing. And then you will experience Eudemonia, or the good life. So as it pertains to like Spark, and in the Spark freedom framework of Spark, Ignite, Explode, Radiate, we often say spark your vision basically in the aspect of what it is to live a good life. It's to have clarity on what matters. Be radically clear on what matters to you, to spark your vision and to live a life of vision and to be drawing towards progress towards a goal. You have to have radical clarity on what matters to you and to your tribe. And I hope you have a tribe. I pray to God you have a tribe. I pray for myself to cultivate my own tribe. Then in igniting success, making sure that you're taking to ignite success as it comes to living the good life. It's taking action aligned with your purpose. It's thinking, this was my purpose, I'm going to act. A lot of people have a purpose, but they don't act on it. They have goals, but they let the day just steal all their action and their calories for that day to something else entirely. Well, no, my kids, I got to take them. I got to drive them. They need help. I know I should have written that ebook, but I distracted myself with pleasures, or I distracted myself with BS, or I clicked through emails. I procrastinated. Igniting success in the good life is aligning your actions. It's integrity. And integrity is integrating your belief with your behavior. And my belief is that I'm going a direction and then I'm going to give a good day's work, just like the farm example, whether it's with my agency and we are a digital growth agency and we have serious internal goals now. If I can give a hard day's labor, just like I would on the farm, I can lay my head at night and be like, I did it. I did the thing. I did the darn thing. Taking action aligned with your purpose. That's igniting success. And then exploding significance, making your life about more than just you. And this is like the purpose side. You can have a goal, but what's your purpose? And purpose is impact. What impact? So that I can have resources, so that I can employ these people, so I can empower people's businesses to actually achieve their goal, because everyone's business is a component of their passionate vision for themselves. And I want to contribute to people's passionate vision for themselves. And if I can do that by helping them extract their message, automate their business, get AI to help them be more profitable and work faster, then I'll do that. So what's exploding significance? If I can give back to a cause and we have a triple bottom line in our company and we're donating to good purposes, if I'm employing good people, and if our message, which is super positive, if we're like the dominant business in our market for websites, automation, business, digital growth, then when people encounter us, they're encountering our values too. And when they encounter us, encounter our values, and we're thriving, Billy Weigel, good morning. We need to connect this week. Okay, let's do it. It's on. It's on. We've been chasing each other for over a year. He's been chasing me for over a year. You got it. And then radiate your purpose, living with peace. Radiating purpose is allowing yourself to receive the presentness of the moment. Radiating, and so as it comes to the good life, to live the good life, a life of purpose, progress, presence, and moderation, not extremes, as the Greeks taught us. The good life allows us the moment to receive the good of the moment. The good life, let me say that again. The good life allows us the momentary peace, the slowness of thought. The world's going to keep going, and I'm going to keep producing. I'm going to keep kicking ass. But the good life is an internal state where I take every breathing moment, every breath as a meditation to breathe in the goodness of the moment, the hard work, the relationships like with Billy Weigel, the ability to speak into your life for a brief moment, the ability to challenge myself. Radiating purpose is taking it in the moment, not trying to achieve a finish line to celebrate. Yes, when you achieve the finish line, please go celebrate, because you don't celebrate the win. You celebrate that you're with your friends and that you achieved something and you leveled up. But that's not the only moment you celebrated. You should celebrate on mile 13 when no one's around and you just got water from the table in your marathon and you're sweating and you're absolutely dying. And you need to think to yourself, man, this is awesome. I'm out here dying. I'm pushing myself. I don't even know if I'm going to make it, but this is awesome. That's radiating purpose. Living an example for the next generation that you know how to breathe in the moment while chasing your purpose and your goals. That's the presentness. That's the presentness. So why don't people live the good life? Why don't people live the good life? I'll tell you. Number one, people are living the illusion of the good life. Most people are not chasing the good life. They're chasing the marketed life. I'm going to say that again. Most people are not chasing the good life. They're chasing the marketed life. They've been sold a vision that says you'll be happy when you get the house. You'll be happy when you have a certain partner. You'll be happy when you have abs, the car, the followers, whatever validation. You'll be happy when that book publishes. Listen, I published 7 books and I have never been happy at the end of any of them except one. The gold book, and I even want to redo that one. People are not experiencing the good life because they've been chasing the illusion of the good life. But that's not living. That's auditioning for someone else's approval. If your definition of the good life was only extracted from your feed, you're living someone else's dream. You can't live the good life by performing it for others. because you're not integrated with who you are. Integrity is the integration with belief with behavior. That's praxis, the integration of belief with behavior. You can't live the good life by performing someone else's good life. It just won't happen. The moment someone else's sense of worth or measure for success, maybe it's mixing music as a DJ in Ibiza overlooking this gorgeous landscape. Is that you? Maybe. But just because we can see everything with the internet now doesn't mean we truly, sincerely want everything. We feel like we do. But if you are alone with yourself for a minute, you might realize, I actually don't want any of that. And I think people are scared of realizing that they don't want everything. I think people are scared, and it's not even FOMO, it's worse than that. I think people are scared that if they don't want everything, and wanting is where the suffering comes, right? I feel like if people feel like if they don't want everything, they're somehow not experiencing life or they're not manifesting life. Bullshit. Just because you can see everything on socials and the internet doesn't mean it's integrated into why you were manifested on this planet. The Creator in all of her glory puts you on this planet with your unique makeup for this species, and it wasn't to do everything. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. Hear that again. You can and should do anything, but you shouldn't do everything. Let that sink in. There's a key to the good life in that. When you're hustling for something you already have the raw materials for. Meaning, love, purpose. These are cheap. These are free. They're inside of you. You have everything you need in these raw materials. You're just looking in the wrong aisle. And I'm not talking about getting your nervous system in alignment so you can suddenly be a celebrity and now suddenly be making remote income. Remember, that's someone else's dream. That might not be your dream. Marissa has so much respect of mine because she found a job in an amazing biological institute research station up in North Carolina. She's not wildly famous. She's hardly on socials. I have more respect for her choices because she has, just like everyone else, the choice of everything in the world. But she took the time to listen to what she wanted. And in her corner of the universe is making a massive impact. You know, my greatest strength is my greatest weakness. I have huge vision. And as such, I struggle far more than others in feeling the good life. And I dare say many of you do too. The second reason people do not live the good life. The systems we live in don't reward stillness. Hear that again. The systems we live in do not reward stillness. I do believe in moving quick. I do believe in adopting AI. I do believe in adopting better systems. I do believe in increasing productivity, but it wasn't until AI that we could increase productivity without increasing stress. I call AI the democratization of labor. If crypto is the democratization of money, AI is the democratization of labor. We can now leverage labor if we choose to. I have believed in productivity so much before AI that I look like a workaholic and I love what I do, so I just do it a ton. But our world is wired for productivity. I just read a great article. It was great because it was absolutely revealing. It said the world is wrong about Trump's economy. Economy thrives. Well, in measures of GDP, we have an increased output. Well, that's interesting. This guy was talking in broad strokes. Why do we measure success in gross domestic productivity? You are measured by the powers that be, by how much you build for them. And that's unfortunate. I see Michelle Harvey was here a little bit ago. How many coffees can you make at Mitchell's when you worked there, Michelle? How many homes can I turn over for a profit? What's my profit margin? How many jobs can I produce? That's a good one. I would love to be able to produce more jobs, but if I'm only valued for the good life based on my productivity, something is wrong. The second reason people do not experience the good life is the system's rewards are not for stillness. If you sit still for 5 minutes, the algorithms think you died. If you do not at least open up your screen when it sends you a reminder notification that Susie Luhu posted recently and you should check it out, and if you don't click that, which we all do unconsciously, me included, the system thinks you're dead. We're trained to measure life in likes, follows, dollars, hours. Employees versus contractors is the best example. Employees are just asked to give me that 6 to 8 hours. And then there's like, wait, no, I kind of want output from you too. So at first they're just commodified like labor. And then it's like, well, let's see how many hamburgers can you make for me in that 6 to 8 hours? What country is it? Bhutan, I think it is. Maybe it's Bhutan. Gross domestic happiness, GDH. Happy Planet Index is a different measurement. Measuring things. In Costa Rica always wins used to always win the Happy Planet Index. I think it's Finland now. And the Happy Planet Index is a measure of the minimum amount of biocarbon footprint, the highest amount of downtime, the most amount of laughter. What if you measured your life in sunsets and pool swims? What if you measured your life in coffee surrounded by friends? What if you measured your life by D&D games or playing, I don't even know. What if I measured life based on how many paintings or how many hours I was able to spend putting acrylic on canvas or how many waves I caught surfing? What if that's how we measured our life? That which gets measured gets managed. And right now, if all you're doing is managing your time, measuring your time, that's what you're generating. So people feel guilty resting. They feel anxious dreaming. They feel afraid failing. We should fail more. What happened to doing a whole Lego set without the instructions? When was the last time we rested and did not feel guilty? I see a trend right now, and it's only nuts because it stands out, and it shouldn't stand out, but it does. And this guy said, you know how sometimes people have been posting raw dogging this 6-hour flight, and they fly to Europe or somewhere, and they don't listen to music, they don't read, they literally just stare at the seat in front of them and raw dog it. And it's a joke, it's a meme, but the idea behind it is, can you sit still for this long? And now people are just sitting in their chair saying, can I sit still for an hour? No phone. And I saw this one guy record himself. So what's the result? Everyone is sprinting through life like me climbing that mountain in Cape Town, or like that person just trying to finish the marathon and trying to check out and numb themselves for the duration of the marathon. They sprint life trying to earn what can only be experienced sitting down. Hear that again. People are sprinting through life trying to experience something they can only have by slowing down. Every time I finally sit down to meditate, I ask myself, why did that take so long to get here? Why did I scroll my phone another 15 minutes? Why did I send out another email? Why, when my brain was so exhausted, did I not just sit and pray and meditate? People are sprinting through life trying to earn what can only be experienced by slowing down. The second reason people do not experience the good life is that our system does not reward stillness. So you need to come up with a system that does. The third reason, and I think this is the most profound reason people do not experience the good life of purpose, progress, and presence. The purpose of moderation, according to the Greeks, where they're not doing the extremes, but they are literally thoroughly enjoying the moderate. Instead of gorging on an ice cream, taking that spoonful, paying attention to what it might taste like, and then savoring that bite. I did a practice in a meditation class when I was traveling with Semester at Sea. The class was Survey of World Religions, and we were cycling through the religions, and we were cycling through Buddhism. And for the Buddhism class, we were given a single grape. And the entire hour-long class was savoring the one grape. Not kidding. To smell it. Have you ever thought, what does grape smell like? To get the texture. What's the texture of the skin? To put it in your mouth but not chew, and then to pull it out again. To smell it. To peel the skin off of it. all the different ways to enjoy it, to slowing down and slowing down. Good morning, Linz. I hope you're doing fantastic. So what is the good life, and why do people, what's the third reason people don't encounter the good life? And it's this: the fear of encountering yourself. Oh, shit. He said that before 8 a.m. When people pause long enough to actually ask, what would my good life look like aside from the feeds? They're often met with silence, or worse, the pain of truth that they have avoided. When people, hear that again, the fear of self-encounter, if I slow down enough to experience the good life, I might hear some stuff I don't like. And let me tell you what that is. Things like, I might have to admit that I am definitely in the wrong career. I don't want to feel that pain too long because of the change it would require of me. These particular relationships drain me. Yep, you've been avoiding that truth. And by avoiding that truth, you've been avoiding quieting yourself and avoiding that slow time and avoiding the good life. I know someone who really wants to paint, and I think she doesn't paint because if she slowed down enough to paint, she might get too in touch with her emotions. These relationships are actually draining to me. Or another hard truth that I encountered once I started to slow down, I was deep in the Pentecostal church, the non-denominational Pentecostal church. And when I finally left for semester C and got away from the worship service and got away from the Bible studies and the busyness and the rush, as if I was trying to get somewhere, some person of faith, I slowed down and I realized these beliefs aren't even mine. What happens when you slow down enough that your inner self starts telling you truths? I think we are afraid of self-encounter. Busyness is modern humanity's emotional anesthesia. Hear that again. Busyness is modern humanity's emotional anesthesia. Listen, busyness will successfully numb the pain, but it will also numb the joy. The busyness of being alive will definitely numb the pain, but it also will numb the joy. So I think this is why people avoid the good life, why they don't live the good life. They're proactively avoiding it. If the good life is as simple as purpose, and you can just sit down for free and determine your purpose, pray through your purpose, making progress on that purpose, assigning hours in your day and in your week to achieve that, and presence, enjoying the work, being present for what you're going through. These things are free. Buddha said, I can sit, I can meditate, and I can wait. These are free things. And by free, they're also things that make you feel free. They're free to you. They cost you very little to nothing. And they free you from yourself, from your anxieties, from your worries, from your fears, and allow you to live the good life. In terms of the spark lens, it's this. Instead of the spark, they never truly spark their vision. They never articulate the clarity of their vision, because if they did, it would have to convict them to take new actions. Because basically, they were copying someone else's vision. They try to ignite success without clarity, so then it just burns them out instead of catching fire. Basically, when you're racing for success without clarity of purpose, you're literally setting yourself up for burnout. You can't explode significance because you're still centered on your own survival and not service to others. I'm telling you, I have spent now too many decades accumulated together in survival. It's time to change that. We need to change to service. And, radiating purpose is a surrender. It's a surrender of the need for busyness, something that our culture treats as weakness. We need to surrender. I don't need to be busy. I do need to get to the work of living my own vision. I do need to get to the work of living with purpose, but sometimes that work is sitting. Sometimes that work is a slow morning with coffee watching the sunrise. And I'm telling you, I guarantee that when you finally sit down and open your computer to work, I guarantee that work will be more productive. Guarantee it. So what can you do? You can live. How can you live the good life? You can live the good life right now for free. You can live the good life right now for free. Here's how it is. Number one, be led with purpose. You can live by being led with purpose. Your why is your compass, not your output.
Tell me your compass. Tell me your why. I've heard this a million times. Yes, but hopefully in the context of living the good life, you take action on it. Carve out just 20 minutes this week to write your life mission statement once and for all, or to dust off the old one. This isn't your business mission. This is your mission statement. Be led with purpose. Get incremental growth. Growth isn't just big launches. Quit looking for the big launches. It's the daily sharpening. If you want to launch a new book, you got to write paper every day. If you want to launch a new workshop, you got to be talking about that workshop every single day. Get small wins and radical consistency. I cannot tell you enough about consistency. Grant, if I'm too consistent, I won't be enjoying spontaneity and serendipity. I won't be traveling the world. Man, your priorities are out of whack. You don't know what you want. When someone wants everything, that means they don't truly want anything. When someone wants everything, they have gotten clarity about nothing. I don't want everything. I do want a lot. I do want a lot, and still too much. There's some things, but the older I get, the more I watch my top 100 dream list shrink a little bit. I throw even in stuff I didn't achieve yet. I start marking off because you know what? I actually don't want that anymore. The closer I get to me, the more I remember. Remember, the good life is not created or discovered. Just food for thought here. The good life is not created or discovered. It's remembered. I remember. I do love X, and yes, I've sampled a bunch of things, but I still love X, Y, and Z. 9 times out of 10, when I talk to people who are wildly successful and feel fulfilled and are living the good life, those people have gone back to something, and they remember the good life. So L, be led with purpose. I, incremental growth. Growth isn't just big launches. It's daily, small, consistent wins. Identify one skill or a mindset or trait or and commit 15 minutes a day to improving it. 15 minutes. It's no time at all. Less than it takes for you to prep that cup of coffee. 15 minutes to work on that character trait. V, value presence. If you want to live the good life, value presence. If you're with a distasteful person, value that moment. Find a reason to value that moment. Well, maybe I'm sharpening my own beliefs. Maybe I have a moment to speak into their life. Maybe they're going through something right now that I could help them with. Or as soon as they're gone, I'll enjoy my peace afterwards. So I'm grateful that they're here for this moment. Value presence. When you're with wonderful people, don't numb your way through it. Everyone's here. I got to serve them. Think of the parable of the 2 ladies serving the spiritual leader, Mary and Martha. Martha was bustling around, making sure everyone's here. All the good people are here. So I got to make sure this is cooked and this is cleaned and this is taken care of. Meanwhile, Mary's just hanging out. Mary versus Martha. Great parable. Value presence. Be with the people you're with. Schedule a quick 5-minute pause break and just take it in. Put your phone down, grab a cup of coffee, walk outside, enjoy the weather. Turn around and ask, how are you doing? How's your life? What's going on? Value presence. Just notice, like I did with the grape, just notice sensations. How do I feel right now? Gratitude, breathing, I'm alive. And out of that, you'll start to see that I don't want everything, but there are a few things bubbling up inside of me in those small moments. V, value presence. And E, engage contribution. The good life is never solo. What we're all seeking is belonging. We are a coral reef more than we're an individual. We are a school of fish more than we are a shark swimming alone. We are a colony of bees. We only have these things, the good life, purpose, progress, and presence. We only have these in the context of others and quality people. The tough thing is that there's not a lot of quality people out there today. I get that. But the good life is never solo. Impact anchors meaning, and impact is how you're positively impacting other people. Send one text message and encourage someone. Do one act of goodness. Be hope punk. Give one resource to someone. Get rid of a book. Hand your favorite book to someone who needs it. Not for credit, but to serve. Bring a bag of groceries to someone struggling. Sweep someone's porch who's been struggling. One act of service this week, and you will live the good life. Of all the things we talked about today, I pray for one thing for you today. I pray you answer the question, what is my good life? And you don't answer it by asking the AIs of the planet. I maybe riff with it a little bit. I pray you don't get it from the feeds. I pray that you get it from a still heart, doing good work, making good progress on a purpose that you're chasing. And I guarantee, you will be able to say you know what the good life is. But no matter what you do today, remember the mission, igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own.